Welcome to the another video of Cricket Thrill. Ray Illingworth was an English cricketer, a commentator and administrator. He was one of the only 9 players to have taken 2000 wickets and made 20,000 runs in first-class cricket. He played for Yorkshire 1951 till 1968 and 1982 till 1983. And he played for Leicestershire 1969 till 1978 and for England 1958 till 1973, and he was declared a Wisden Cricketer of the Year in 1960. Raymond Illingworth was born in Yorkshire on June 8, 1932. As a teenager, he played at Forsley Cricket Club. He was a keen student of the game. He had a realistic approach and only liked to gamble on the certainties. As a bowler, he was not a sharp spinner of the ball, relying on accuracy and subtle variation of flight, but his arm ball was particularly effective, many of victims being caught at slip, playing for spin that was not there. In county cricket, he took 2072 wickets. He bowled 408 balls without reward in 3 tests against New Zealand in 1973, but conceded only 1.91 runs an over in his test career. His middle order batting was based around stump defense, a fifth of his innings mostly from number 6 or 7 in the order. Finished not out. He scored 24,134 first-class runs in all, with a best of 162 at an average of 28.06. Against the rest of the world in 1970, Illingworth topped the England average with 476 runs at an average of 52.89 and 6 half-centuries. The Yorkshireman was tough, combative, grudging, shrewd, and an instinctive reader of the game, and an experienced captain who expected his team to play like professionals. Ray Illingworth made his test debut for England in 1958 but struggled on his first tour in the West Indies in 1959-60, taking just 4 wickets in 5 test matches. After failing to make an impact in 4 test series against South Africa, he found himself struggling for the place. A good series against India in 1967 established him in the team. The selectors had long rewarded Colin Cowdray as England's natural cricket captain, but he has gained high reputation in the season, and Illingworth was his replacement after only a month as county captain. Ray Illingworth had been in and out of the national side for the years, but had taken 20 wickets against India in 1967 and 13 more against Australia in 1968. He was originally chosen over his rivals like Brian Close, as he was not a threat to Cowdray's long-term captaincy due to his age and inability to establish a regular spot in the test team. In the second test against the West Indies at Lord's in 1969, England collapsed to 61 for 5, but the newskeeper made a forceful 113 out of the last 155 runs and became a hero. He beat both the West Indies and New Zealand 2-0 and was confirmed as captain even when Cowdray recovered. Ray Illingworth captained England for 5 seasons, 1969 till 1973, and this was a very successful period in English cricket. Under Illingworth, England beat the West Indies 2-0 in 1969, held a powerful rest of the world side to 1-4 in 1970, won the Ashes in Australia in 1970-71, beat Pakistan in 1971, somewhat surprising loss to India in 1971, but then regrouped and held on to the Ashes in a tight series in 1972 before eventually losing a series to a strong West Indies team in 1973. Illingworth's captaincy can perhaps be considered responsible for the victories in several of those tight contests. For example, at Headingley in 1969, the West Indies were 219 for 3, chasing 303 runs, when Illingworth-inspired bowling change had Basil Butcher caught behind and wickets fell, with just about every bowling change he made that afternoon. Similarly, at Sydney in the 7th test of the 1971-71 series, it was Illingworth Illingworth deprived of his star batsman Jeff Bycott and his star bowler John Snow, who somehow pressurized the Australian batsman into capitalizations. Those two test matches will probably be remembered as Illingworth's finest moments as captain because they were the most famous. However, it was for his brilliant tactics at Headingley in 1971 that he should receive most plaudit. With Pakistan needing only 230 runs to win, they were sailing towards victory with Sadiq Mohammed and Asif Iqbal in full command at 160 for 4. Alan Knott pulled off a miraculous stumping of Norman Gifford, Asif the batsman, and again Illingworth's bowling change just as they had 2 years earlier resulted in wickets, including the key wickets of Sadiq Mohammed. The 1972 series was as good and tough an Ashes series as there has been, with the possible exception of 2005. The seasoned pros of England in Bycott, Edrich, Olivia, Illingworth himself, Underwood and John Snow faced the upcoming young Australian Ian Chappell, Greg Chappell, Dennis Lilly, Rod Marsh and Doug Walters, who would dominate for the middle part of the decade. The series was drawn 2-2, but included tight games at Headingley and particularly the Oval, where the match lasted almost 6 days with Australia chasing 242 with only 5 wickets in hand. In 1973, Illingworth's tenure as captain of England ended, and it was rather a sad one in that an easy victory over a budding New Zealand team was followed by a heavy defeat by a highly efficient West Indies side. England had to win at Lord's to level the 3-match series. West Indies had first use of a quick but perfectly even batting wickets and made 650 at a rapid scoring rate as England bowling attack of Willis, Arnold, Gregg, Underwood and Illingworth were humiliated by Rohan Kanhai, Gary Sobers and Bernard Julian. When England batted, they had no answer to Lawrence Gibbs and lost by innings. Wisden fairly described it as a sad end to the Illingworth era. When Illingworth became England captain, had lost only one of their previous 14 test matches and none of their last 7. He continued his run to a record-breaking 27 test matches without defeat in 1968-71 or one defeat in 40 tests in 1966-71. This record was not recognized at the time as the game against the rest of the world 11 were counted as test matches and was subsequently equalled by club-led West Indies side in 1981 till 1984. Series wins over New Zealand and Pakistan followed, and despite a loss against India in 1971, he scored his second test century and enjoyed bowling success. He revealed in an interview with Shyam Bhatia 30 years after the loss that he regretted not bowling Brian Luckerhurst occasionally left-arm spin against the Indians on a sluggish pitch, which had blunted Derek Underwood. He retained the Ashes at home in 1972 against Ian Chappell's powerful young side with an exciting 2-2 series draw. Leicestershire benefited from his return, winning 4 one-day trophies and a county championship in 1974. In 1975, after announcing his retirement from the first-class game in 1978, he returned to Headingley to manage the Yorkshire team. Despite his testy relationship with Jeff Bycott, in 1982, faced with an underperforming team on the field, he made a return to the playing arena and replaced Chris Old as captain. The side won the Sunday League in his final season in 1983, but failed in the championship, finishing bottom for the first time ever. Illingworth left Yorkshire in 1984 and carved out a successful career as a media person, often fairly critical of the England Test teams. Eventually, he became the chairman of England Board of Test Selectors from 1993 till 1996 and the England cricket coach from 1995 till 1996. He often clashed with England captain Mike Atherton over team selections. In November 2021, he advocated assisted suicide, revealing that he had been diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer. He died on 24 December 2021 at the age of 89. If you like this video, please comment, share and subscribe. Thank you very much.